a very interesting broadcast, and it's a few things that I would like to highlight here on the reasons why, doing some questions that I've had about. Oh, there you go. I had to put it where you can hear it. On the questions that I had concerning women and their singleness and coming into established relationship, a marriage, um, when it's concerning let me make sure we can hear each other, our income and uh, a woman being self-sufficient. And it's important that we understand that we're going to get this out the way first. That we understand, and here we speak from a biblical perspective. So um, the world's way won't necessarily make sense in some forms. In this, we're going to stick with it in the way God will have it and give it to us. Amen. But here's a many of things that many young couples and women would like to know when it comes to being not just a confident woman, but self sufficient, and understanding when you come into a new relationship, when you are preparing to come into a union, a countership of counterparts, relationships, when you're looking at kingdom women, and oftentimes I tell you, they usually talk to y'all about Proverbs 31 woman, but they neglect um, to teach about the prudent woman, the woman that God gives to the husband. And the prudent woman has so many characteristics that goes, it's a, it's a, say, increase of learning the value of women in relationships, and what everybody is looking into when it comes to kingdom spouses and counterparts and unions. And many men are taught opposite of Proverbs, talking about men when it's accustomed to what he's to look for in a spouse, in a woman. And they look for generally what they've been taught through their childhood, from their partners, from all these different sources that they gain inspiration from, where it is to look for a woman, a spouse. But it's really, really interesting in how biblically, looking at kingdom spouses, looking at courting, looking at dating, looking at different things, which the dating part was not mentioned in there. But on my behalf, according to what's going on in today's world, we'll get to that later. This portion is mostly about being financially stable, and to a point. I understand that some may be looking for a spouse that is open to you being, hey baby, thank you. It's open into you being, hey baby, open into you being home, a stay-at-home spouse or wife or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's basically up to you and your spouse. I don't deal with outside people and how they feel about what goes on in my house. If me and my spouse is okay with that, and God is okay with that, then I don't sit around and seek who's approving of me being home or me working outside the house or whatever the case may be. It is okay to accept wisdom when it's given in the proper place, but not allowing it to take seniority where it overrules one of the spouses, if that makes sense. So if somebody come to you and tell you, well, wisdom tell me this and this is what I've learned, and I'm just gonna give you this piece of da 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 da, Then you go home and you run across your spouse, and your spouse say to you, well, no, I think's not. Hello, babies. Um, hold on, I can't read the comments right now. Let me get through this part first. Hold on. um, and let's keep the comments clean. This is still God's community and atmosphere. But when it comes to submission, when it comes to understanding that you're not a doormat, but on the level of being financially able to provide, because one of the things I learned when I was a little girl, and I would always look at my grandmother and grandfather's marriage, mostly, yeah, from what I can understand when I was little, all of my grandmothers and grandfathers were married. And I learned something very prevalent about the husband and the wife, where my grandmother them would be um one of them was kind of dominant when it came to, but the rest of them, they was, I would say they would still had a dominancy, but they weren't like controlling of their husbands. That makes sense. They were submitted to their husbands. They just had a mindset that if for some reason he couldn't provide, and then there was the other part of them that were married, that they both played that intricate part where they both contributed to the household, if that makes sense. So where I saw my grandmothers have their own businesses at home and outside of the home, and my grandfathers, some of them traveled for as military, for as building. Back then they built bridges and stuff like that. They had good jobs, college educated, blah blah blah. And my grandmothers came from, I would say, different backgrounds, as you would say, in some instances when it came to them. But they never let that deter them, and they had spouses who were a reflection of how a man should respect his spouse, whether she's more or less educated than he is. So here in this case that I wanted to show you all before I go to bed tonight, that God was putting on my mind. It's a good reflection of what I'm teaching here and what God has me to teach. Um, it's okay if the man chooses to provide when it comes to whatever, but you should always be at a point, what Paula White called it, she money. She money. When I came up, my stories sound kind of comical at some point because of the way things were presented towards me. And I had like the best of both worlds. So when it came to my grandmothers, it was interesting. The one that raised me, people would all the time look at her as if she wasn't like she didn't have as much as, on the outside, people would judge you from the outside. And it wasn't like her clothes and stuff. She had a closet full of clothes and shoes and purses and all kind of stuff. I mean, with tags, till she died with tags. People was glad to find china, all kind of stuff. People was glad to get in her house. Once she developed Alzheimer's, by the time we knew anything, they had broken into her house to steal all of her possessions. And that's just how um blessed she was. And that's, people would say different things, but I was like, no, that's what I saw. She had china that you couldn't touch, and she worked for some of the rich people and things like that. So I didn't see things in that way, and they also viewed me in that way as being her granddaughter. But she always, and my grandfather always taught me to be self-sufficient in that way, and to be um, a woman that was able to stand in her own rights. But I want you to listen right quickly, and I'm gonna show y'all something about this video. And it could seem a little vague at times when you hear these things coming about, because I want you to watch his posture. I want you to listen and hear his frustrations in his words. However, I love it, the fact that he kept it with respect, but you can see how uh, underneath the surface, he loves this girl, but he is fed up with this situation. So I want you to see how this goes when it comes to you being financially prepared when you go into a relationship. And I understand her in some points, because that's what people don't get about me. When you could just be in that position where you just need to be able to somebody to support you and coming up, when it comes to your finances and stuff. But you have to really, God see you that one that have that understanding, that don't make you feel like you lack anything or you beneath him just because he feels that he has more than you. So look at this situation. Hold on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so guys, we're on our way. City, we need to fix that big boy there. You see it? Look at my special driver. You really love your leather jacket.
Yes,
Why do you love leather jacket? It's not a material. By the way, Lipon loves anything to do with leather, but for me, we are different. But anyway, we respect what he loves. Baby, you remember the topic we were having yesterday about finance? Yeah. Yeah. What do you think about a woman being financially independent? Financially independent? Yes, financially independent. I think that should be her goal, and that should be applauded by any guy. You know, guys, I'm jobless. I don't go to work. 2 years since I came to France. And Lipol has been supporting me financially. I think sometimes it's really, really too much for him because he's also a human being, and being asked for money every now and then. Sometimes I feel for him. That's not the point. A lot of your money goes to Kenya. You know, in Africa, most cases, your parents, your siblings, once you come abroad, they depend on you financially. And mostly that you're not going to work, you don't go to work, you're still figuring out how to survive in this new country. So it comes with a lot of pressure, and sometimes you feel like, oh my God, this is too much. And you know, back in Kenya, they don't even realize how hard it is here to get a job as a beginner, just to relocate. It's just a lot of pressure. So it is so much more complicated. If you come over here as a highly qualified person, no problem to get a job. Yeah. Here in Europe, I think the system is kind of different. Here, everybody is financially responsible for their lives. So the best thing, if you want to support your parents, your siblings back home, because that's our culture. That's what we were born and we found people doing. So if you want to support your family back home, your parents, I don't think it should be your partner's responsibility. So can you even remember how many times you've sent your parents money? Never. When they were still alive? Never. Wow, you see? So these things, they're not used to it. So imagine coming here and you want to pressure them. If he's willing to help, that's well and good. So, wow, but don't expect it to be like that. Because when I met with Paul for the first time, we talked, and I told him what I wanted to achieve in this life, and he told me that once you come to our village in France, you're gonna start working immediately. You have a choice of 2 jobs. Yes. But since my French was really, really bad, I couldn't even say hi in French. So we went for the interview, and they told me that you need to learn French at least. At conversational level. Yes. If you work in the service industry, you want somebody serving you a meal or a drink to at least say hello. Yeah. I'm not against anybody helping parents or your siblings. Me, I've been doing that since day one. I've been financially responsible for my siblings, my parents, before I even met Paul. So if I still want to continue doing that, I'm going to do that. Paul has already done a lot. He's doing a lot even right now. And sometimes I feel like, oh my God, this is like a lot, a lot. I need to do something. I need to get a job because it's just too much. It doesn't mean that you cannot help somebody once in a while, but don't expect it to be like that. Do they understand what I mean? Yeah, you.
So you hear how he intercepted her. He doesn't mind because he married her with the intentions of knowing that she was coming from another country. But here she's bearing the burden because she's having to, what he said is, it's not that you don't have money, but you're taking your money and it's causing a financial burden, because the burden, as we know, cultural differences and how it's looked at in different, in her case, from Africa. And it is once you break away from that home. And in this kid's situation, he's a doctor, and she was supposed to be coming over. I think they're in Europe. She was supposed to be coming over so she can pursue her career as well to work alongside him doing the same thing. But how happened with certain things, with the regulations and things that you have to do in order to be a citizen in whatever country that is, it prohibits her. So I love her spirit. She is continuing to go to school, and she's trying, which she is he's twice her age. And she's dealing with a lot, but she's handling it very well. However, this man, which I like the fact that at least he does not just sit back and hold it in. He's expressive, but he's expressive in a respectful way. And did you see how she paused and she rolled her eyes when kind of like, oh my God, I know what he's finna say. Oh, please don't let him say the wrong thing. But I believe that when we was just talking about communication, this is very important. You can't just think that, oh, well, I done married a cash cow. And now it's okay, because from her country, that's what her people think is she done got the hook in somebody that's a cash cow. And this man is saying, I'm not no cash cow. Yo, people, I understand them every now and then asking for money. But I've noticed that from people from the other country too. They once they know that they are going to be provided for that way, and the burden of responsibility is on this young lady because she's been reared, she's been taught that if we leave our country, then we supposed to send money home to our relatives and support home. So go ahead and finish out and listen to what they have to say.
Explained it so well. Yeah, your English is good. They can understand you. Thank you. Yeah. I use yes things too. Wait 1 minute. This camera, I don't know why it's moving. In short, to support somebody to become independent. The example of the fish and the rod. Yeah, not even only supporting your family back in Africa. Also for you as a woman, you need to be financially independent. Yeah, for the relationship to work very well, I think it's much better. Isn't it also for your own dignity? Yes. Imagine you're in that situation whereby you wake up in the morning, you want to go shopping, you just take your card, you go and buy whatever you want to buy without asking for money from your partner. I think that's the best feeling ever. If you are financially independent, you don't become a burden to them. Huh? The word burden is too much. It's like irritation.
Keep being lazy about cleaning your apartment. No, seriously. Oma Glow will clean it for just $9.
When I tell you,
Oma Glow washes and
Do you know anything about that?
I like the guy, but the old guy does not pull punches, baby. He said it gets irritable. He listened to what he said. Look at her expression. Wait.
Huh? The word burden is too much. It's like irritation. Do you know anything about the percentages of women working in France versus other European countries? Here in France, it's about 60.
So he said it's not a burden, but it's an irritation.
65%, meaning that in marriages, in couples, in households, 65% of all the women work as well. Maybe they don't have a full-time occupation and they work part-time, but 65% of the women have a job. Why? They want to buy the good stuff. They want to live a good life. They don't want to have any financial problems. They want to go on a vacation, buy a house, buy a new couch, buy 2 cars, etc. So for that kind of life, you need money. And over here, things are available. Everything's available, but everything has a price tag too. And also again, in Africa, you might be, maybe you have a job, but you cannot grow when everybody's depending on you financially. Imagine if you're getting paid.
Key word, listen to what she just said. I love it. That's wisdom. When everybody is dependent on you financially, this is why I don't rush in to judge people and rush into relationships and not knowing that this person is coming from a position of the one being financially um, responsible for whether it's children on the outside, what would be the outside of their marriage, or however the case may be. Um, being conscious of what the other spouse and the weight and the responsibility that they carry, being aware that you're not just selfish, that you're just in it for what you can get out of it, because it's very important to maintain that that momentum. Thank you, Holy Spirit. That momentum that is needed to continue to grow. So she understands spreading her money abroad. It also is prohibiting her from growing, because when you sit up and you count up all the money that you shove out, shove out, shove out, shove out, shove out. I even tell my children, I'm not here. I don't intend for them to overwhelm themselves when it comes to this and that. That's why I've always had in mind to keep money, to keep something for me, so I can be able to. And if I can't do that, my mind is just. Mm-mm. Although they may not want to, but my mind is just because that's a wearing that we have. But like she said, when you put in that space, it does cause conflict with the spouse, because they're having to take responsibility not only for y'all, but a whole accountability for she has siblings and a mother apparently from her country. But here she's saying
maybe 400 euros per month, and you have like 7 people depending on that money, and you have to support them financially. Do you think even you can grow financially?
No way.
No way. And also something that I've realized, here people are busy. You don't even find people at home. Everybody is busy chasing the money. Everybody wants to prosper. That's the good word, I think. Yeah. And also, if you have like 10 kids, maybe, because getting a job in Kenya is difficult. You might go to school, you have all the degrees, and getting a job can be so difficult. So the parents will say, maybe one will get a job and he will support us financially. And now when this one gets a job, he becomes or she becomes financially responsible for everybody until they forget about themselves. They cannot grow. So I think I really appreciate this culture. So comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think about this. It's not like we are dissing Africa or something like that. It's just cultural differences here. Me, I'm supporting this culture.
You were supposed to be a doctor, but there was no money and there is no state scholarship, states controlled scholarship program.
By the way, my dream when I was growing up, I wanted to become a doctor.
You were preparing to go to university.
To become a doctor, imagine. And now my brain is very empty.
I would never say that your brain is empty.
Guys.
Wanted to go into higher education.
Yes, in the sector of medicine. Can we say like that?
Yes.
Yeah. And when I realized that dream was not possible, I went in depression. Because of poverty, guys. Poverty can really ruin something beautiful that was supposed to be beautiful.
a poverty mindset. That is basic. That is what she's trying to say. A poverty mindset can ruin something very beautiful, because if you, it no matter what your background is, that's what poverty is. It's a mindset. Some homeless people are homeless because of their mindset, and you can be wealthy with the same mindset. And you see a lot of those people face a lot of hardships in certain ways, even though they have money, because they have a mentality. And that's why I believe what God did when he did with Lazarus and the poor man being at the gate. And that's why he said it's easier for a camel to fit through an eye of a needle than a rich man to make it into heaven. Because once they get money, wealthy people often think, as Oprah, they often think that, oh, my money got me here, and because of my money I could do this and I could do that, when it's against everything that God has said. He said, it's Deuteronomy, go back, it's because of me that you get wealth. I anointed you to get wealth and these things. So when you get rich, he didn't say it was a sin to be rich. He said, when you are rich, don't forget him. Here, listen.
Yes.
Higher education.
Yes, in the sector of medicine. Can you say it like that?
Yes.
Yeah. And when I realized that dream was not possible, I went in depression. Because of poverty, guys. Poverty can really ruin something beautiful that was supposed to be beautiful. Yes. We've been talking. This topic, we can discuss it until tomorrow. So let's interact in the comment section. Let us know your take in this. Okay? But I love Kenya. I love my country. My country, you're the best. You made me. You made Fulwibo, this beautiful lady here, right? So I love my country so much, and I can't even wait to go back there. But these are just things that are different here. Yes. And that's it. Let us know in the comment section. Look how serious people is. Yeah, look at his face. We didn't forget about our promise. You remember? We promised you that we're gonna sit down and make a video.
Yes, sir. He is serious.
So just be patient with us. My husband here is always very busy. So getting time to sit down to do the sit down videos can be a little bit. For the show is very hard. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now we have a basis of, and I just, because I have to just found her page like a couple of weeks ago. And I just thought she has such a beautiful spirit. Wait a minute. Let me tell y'all what is. I think it's Anne and Louis. Anne and Louis. Hold on. I'm trying to. Y'all know I'm not good at this kind of stuff. Ain't no telling who y'all be looking at. There you go. So you can find her page. This is her content, mine. Um, however, like I said, God been leading me to different places and different things, different peoples around the world because I my spirit can't tolerate a lot of things. But it's a lot of questions that you guys have, the younger and those who are seeking relationship and things. And it's also good to listen from a perspective of those who are going through that at that time. People have the ability because that's the way they've been taught that you can't learn nothing from single people. But I beg the difference. Jesus was single, Paul was single, Solomon. Jesus were the whole thing of love. So all this stuff here was going on in the Bible, and they were very much single, honey. So, anyways, that debunks that myth. However, um, if you are at the same challenge and you are looking to go into a marriage or a relationship, my advice would to you not just to prepare mentally, but regardless of whether he takes care of everything or not, to keep yourself in a position. Any man that will date a woman and he feels like I don't care if that was how he's real, he need to get somewhere and change. If he thinks that it's a no for you to be able to be self-sufficient within your own right to be able to take care of your needs, if he's not there, that's a problem. That's a problem. A desire and a must is two different things. You may desire a man, but you should need one. Do you understand that? You desire to have a woman, but you should need one. Do you understand? Those are two different definitions. Understand, we need God. Amen. Okay. So to understand that you don't develop a mentality that you so much this and that or whatever, can't nobody tell. We're not talking about that. We're talking about you having to understand it because what we don't see and people neglected to tell us at some point as we were coming up, this whole Cinderella story and kissing the frogs and the princes, all these things that was going on. But I don't know. My fascination back then was more like Little House on the Prairie, where she had a husband who was devout to the home, and they had girls at that, which I had all girls, and his wife, but she still had her own identity. Claire Huxtable, Huxtable, Cosby. She had her own identity within their marriage, and things to come together and make. So with me and the way I grew up, to think, and it's not just because of what I was taught by them, it's what I observed. And what I used to see is with a lot of movies that you would see stuff like soldiers and stuff like that, and you would see the wife become a widow or something like that, and she's left with 20 years of being a housekeeper, a housemaker up under her belt. But when he's gone, she's left in a destitute place. She Society has grown and moved so fast and advanced so fast till she's left behind. You see what I'm saying? And that's not a good feeling. That's not a feeling that you want to feel when your husband leaves and you can't even go afford a $10 meal for yourself, or you can't go and walk around even Walmart to be exact, and buy something for yourself, or get your hair done, or get your nails done, whatever it is that you want to do. And that's what they just said in the video, the same thing. As a matter of fact, he the one said it, that those women make those accommodations. Well, they may not work full time, but they make some accommodations to have something just in case of emergency, or the fact that they themselves wanna be able to do things for themselves without having to go to. And I ain't saying this to nobody, but people really, 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 really dice me up really wrong, honey. Because I don't like going to other people asking, can I get this, or can I borrow, or can that? That's a borrow is not a word in my vocabulary. And um, having to go ask my spouse, can you buy me this, or I need this, or I need women, women things and stuff like that. No, no. It may be a time that I'm not saying that you may not never be in that place, but it's not fun. So, those are the things that I was taught and that I observed in my youth, that I really thank God for, and that it taught me how to be a lady, as well as preparing to be a spouse in my relationships that I was in. I was very honorable. I was one that could be trusted, but mostly it's because I was more focused on making sure my children was raised in a home that or either some things that I didn't get, or a better way of living for them and teaching them to become self sufficient. And in my speaking, I say God is very good in the way He reared me to do so, that each and every one of my girls exceeded my wildest dreams and expectations. I can't go into depth because I don't like people like to search for them, and I'm very protective over my children. But when I tell you, the positions that they stand in, and that they hold, I really do respect and admire them. That even though I'm their mother, they inspire me to do better and be better every day. And it's because they was allowed to see um, some of my struggles and some of the things, and it pushed them to be one of the girls. She just make my head spin when I look at her, because most, well, pretty much they all are in some dimension. They're overachievers, and sometimes I just be sitting back like, Lord have mercy, like Lord have mercy. I didn't go to college because I chose not to go to college. The way it was made for me, even like I said, in my youth, being put through private school and all of that, and you would say in those things and thinking, but no, they allowed me to develop in the way to be able to um, know what it is to be abased and abound, and to know how to and so therefore God taught me how to rear my children, where they wasn't so spoiled that they didn't understand what it was to work. And by me being open enough where they could see what was going on to me. And I think a turning point for one of my girls, I will, this very sensitive, but I will share this with you. It was a time where I had to go um to what those places is that pay your bills or something like that, and which I had some money, but I was hoping to, because we was in a situation I was having to move to another home. Um, what was that? What was it? Was something, and it was somebody talking to me, and it was like, "Well, Natalie, why don't you?" Allow them, because they'll pay it for like they'll pay your bills or whatever for like 3 months or something like that. So you can do this portion of what you need or whatever the case may be. When I tell you, because I always said to the Lord that that's not the life that I want to live on food stamps and stuff like that. Not saying that anything is wrong with it, but I didn't want to stay there. It's one thing to have a hand up, not a hand out. And when you get on these programs and you understand the governmental system and how it is to keep you ensnared and trapped, then it ought to make you, if you're really serious, not just about your bag, but when it comes to raising your children, when you are really serious about it, it should push you and you should be determined to do these things that allow you your freedom. When I got off of government assistance, and even housing, God really did, um, God really did open up some things to me, and it freed me in a lot of ways. I felt weights lift off of me. When my children, it was three. When my children graduated, it was a burden. It was a whole weight. I felt light as a feather. I could feel it leave me. When I no longer had to deal with the the other parent, um, and when I got off of government assistance, those things that I felt a weight that is unexplainable. And if you ever get to this place to understand that, and then God shifted me in a place that I would be teaching about financial stability and all of those things, to be teaching um, in a master dimension on this to other people, and being mentor to younger people that I've seen take these same steps to grow and to prosper and wait before they jump into things too seriously, to be able to travel, to be able to, some of them join the military, some of them decided to have their own businesses, some of them decided to wait before they had children, to be able to explore more, to advance themselves in their educations, those things. And this is a vision that God gave me even when I was a child. I always they used to buy me those, what we call back then was book satchels. They had pencils, drawing stuff, all the stuff that comes along, that you see the teachers bring to the school. And it's like usually Christmas, my birthdays or something like that, somebody would bring me something like that. And I used to, there was this shift row. My grandmama got so tired of me because I used to take the chalk. And when she come in there, honey, I be having my baby dolls and teddy bears lined up, and I be teaching them. I would be teaching them, and I'd be done wrote up the shift jar, the ship roll jar, but you could wipe it off because it had that type of material that you can wipe it off. So the next thing I knew, that one of the occasions that came home, I think it was my grandfather. He came in and there was this big chalkboard that was bigger than me that he had brought, and it was so funny. It was so funny and amazing. But my grandmother, I can hear her talking to him like, that girl, I don't know what she gonna be, whether she gonna be a doctor or a nurse or a lawyer or something, but she's definitely, it's something got to do with teaching, because I used to just take that chalkboard and I used to be writing, y'all. And I'd be in there having conversations with them dolls, honey. And I'd be like, y'all understand this and what this mean and what. So it was amazing how God, um, people often talk about finding your purpose, but it's been there all along. It just takes for us to open up in that time that God will open it up to us, for us to see that this is what it is. So I was kind of upset by grandkids coming so early, but now I understand why. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. I wouldn't. I mean, they are my life. I love them so much. And I've learned so much from them. And just as me, in that innocence that I carry till today from my childhood, because I didn't have that childhood. I had to grow up before my time, cooking and cleaning and all of that stuff by the time I was 5. Then by the time just getting into being a teenager, having a baby, and then having to become a mother, and then go out in the streets and have to go and figure it all out on my own. Um, so it wasn't an easy venture into life. So I tried my best to give my children that cushion. So when they turned 18, I was ready. For them to be, mama, it's time to get out the nest. No, it wasn't no holding them home. But then it was a kind of a challenge because they had always been home. But it was a kind of a challenge. It took me a little bit of time to get used to that because, especially um, a couple of them going into the military and stuff and going off to college, they, whoo, Jesus, prestige colleges and people telling me, the things that go on and stuff. It did, especially being a safe mother. But I had to learn that God is everywhere that I wasn't. And I had to release that burden and release to Him that I dedicated my children back to Him, that He would keep them. So it can still kind of be hard. But when you develop to the point that you understand that it is true, God is in every place. So the things that visions and things happening with them, God always showed me that He's there, that He is there. So when I got that phone call or whatever that I was dreading, God was there to handle where I couldn't be at. So I developed the passion that I have for God and to teach others with that same passion, not to belittle anyone, but to teach you that you can have. Yes, He said if you can believe it, you can achieve it. You can have it. But you have to position yourself not just in a job and all of that, but your mind. Your mind need to be positioned that you will let nothing stop you outside of you not having to do anything bad. I didn't have to do anything bad or give my body away and sell my body or anything. God taught me as a woman of God how to raise my children and to give them to Him and to see everything be fruitful and multiply. And He says, when you put this gem and this seed into your children, He promises in your old age, He won't forget you. That's Psalms, I believe it is. You can go look it up in the Word of God. And He says to the children that when your parents or elders, that you are to look well to them. So there's a portion in there what she was talking about. And I think many people look over this, especially in the believers community, to look at these things. And when you get people from the world, they try to make you, I had a lot of people trying to make me feel bad because they don't know my life, they don't know how I operate, they don't know how I got this or this that. So people make assumptions, you get it. So I let them be the prefix of that while I continue to live my life because I know better. You understand what I'm saying? So anyway, I hope that encouraged you, and I hope that into your response that answers some of your questions. Um, and my prayers are with you, and blessings upon you. And hopefully, you will slow down and make those decisions that will be profitable into where you're going, and not just be a temporary resource. Because believe it or not, you get older, those things that you thought about when you was 25, they become extinct to you when you're 40 and you're 45. Do you understand that? Things will change the way you look at and view relationships, your spouse, and the way that you grow. And if you don't develop together, somebody's going to be left out or behind. It's important that you understand when one shifts, the other one shifts, because that's where a lot of foundations fall off. And it happens as we grow into who we are, even doing marriages. Amen. So it's important to, number one, stop going into marriage like you single. Number two, Stop trying to change people. Allow God to change them. If you're not going to be patient, if you're not going to allow a person to be who they are, this is my thing and always has been my thing about marriage. People make marriage vows, and a lot of these people write their vows. And have you ever paid attention to this? They say things like, "To death do us part, for better or for worse, for rich or for poor." And then when all of that say boom and surface, marriage go out the window and they go bye deuces. But you made a vow and a promise, for better or for worse, for sickness and health, for rich or for poor. As soon as their bank account hit $5 in the negative, I'm sorry, but I'm envisioning what the Holy Spirit is showing me, and it is funny. But also, when I have to cancel people, it is when you listen to both sides, his side and her side. You just like, okay, peoples, okay, hold up, slow down, wait a minute. And you know the female, she just always there. Well, I'm right and you're wrong. And he trying to stand up there like, well, for to be a happy house, she got to be right, but she's wrong. So it is when you cancel and you look at the different perspectives and where I don't know who laughing, but y'all got me laughing. But it can be, and it can be kind of comical. So I just choose, in when it comes to a relationship, to keep that spark in that side, where God showed me how to be comical. Whereas I probably would get mad and go off. This man, if you really watch their relationship, if you really watch their relationship, glory be to God, you will see he's so serious. And when I look at her, I said it today, I promise you I did. I was like, his job is very serious. She's like 2 decades younger than him. And she giggles about everything. I like her spirit, but you see how I'm doing? It's actually what she do. And sometimes when she be talking and she's talking to him, and I see how he has a tolerance, but he has a short tolerance. But you can tell that he love her. But at the same time, and I be sitting up, and when I be looking at some things, I do be saying, I be like, God, I'm glad I'm not a man. I'm glad I'm not a man. I'm just glad. Because when it comes to dealing with the whole thing, dating and you, I can't, that's one thing I can't never get. How a man, out of all the things that they say they don't want and they don't like, and the Bible states that a man rather dwell on the roof of a housetop than to dwell in the house with a brawling woman. But they'll go out in their singleness, and some are married too. They go out here and they get 3, 4, and 5 women. Ain't no way. That's insanity. You're getting hit from every angle. You dating 5, 4, 3, 2 women? No way. Polygamy? No way. No way. No way. I'm a female and I don't wish that on nobody. I don't wish that on nobody. But the different attitudes, that times of the mind, and the different, oh God, help y'all men. Lord have mercy. But that's a no for me. I wouldn't want to be a man having to stand in those shoes. So if that's what you choose to do, God bless your brother. But honey, when you go gray by the time you turn 30, and if that by the time you turn 40, just understand you put that on yourself, start having heart attacks and all that kind of stuff, because you put your own self in that position. But anyway, oh gosh, y'all got me over here crying to myself. But if you look at these couples, and I've been watching a couple of them, and the men be so serious, and I was like, Um, yes, patience is a virtue. It's a must. And we have to be able to grow with one another. Stop taking everything so personal and so serious. You have to have fun. You have to laugh in your marriage. You do. If you too serious, people get tired of that. You stone faced all the time. A lot of you military people don't be understand where some of you people be coming from, but you got to understand they and even being not just military, in those dominant roles in society. Ooh, feel like something's crawling on my back. In those dominant roles of society, you have to understand judges and all of that. And when they come home, they so used to being that way. If they don't know how to turn that job off and come home and be soft with you, it can really be a conflict of interest. So be patient, love one another, have the mindset to grow, continue to have fun, keep it spontaneous, and laugh. Amen. I love y'all, and I hope you got something out of it. See you later.